Welcome to our program. My name is Libby Daniels. I am with the Dallas ISD Communication Services, and I want to thank all of you for being with us today to talk about an exciting initiative that will be available to schools in the Lincoln, Madison, and Pinkston feeder patterns. We are excited about this initiative. It is called Imagine 2020. It is a strategic feeder pattern initiative that will provide thanks to our wonderful community partners, will provide additional support and resources to the schools within these feeder patterns. So we are excited about sharing this presentation with you, and look forward to also hearing from you, because this is an interactive live program, and so we have studio audience here live. You'll get a chance to answer questions, or ask questions rather, and to make comments. We also have watching us via channel 98, the Dallas ISD District Cable Channel. We have an audience watching us there. They will also get a chance to call in their questions. And we also have people watching us via online at www.dallasisd.org/imagine2020. So we are looking forward to getting a chance to hear from all of you in all of the different places that we've got you watching in. Before we get into our program further, I'd like to bring, and please help me welcome, Superintendent of Schools, Mike Miles.
Well, thanks for being here. Thank you. I want to just spend just a minute talking about Imagine 2020 and the concept behind it. If we've learned anything in the last 10 years of reform, it's a couple things. Number one, resources matter. And we know that in the last report from the the Obama administration's Equity and Excellence Commission report, that notion of resources that matter figured as their number one criteria for reforming, transforming public education. The second thing we've learned over time is that we have to have a collective impact. So while we work on highly effective teachers, highly effective principals, effective quality instruction, we know that even if we got everything right with regard to what's happening in the school, we also have to get right what's happening outside the school. We have to have collective impact. So teachers matter a great deal, principals matter a great deal, but the community, its partner, its engagement, its parents engaging the school, all of that matters. The environment from which a kid comes and returns to right after the school matters. And so we have to have that collective impact, and that's why we have this notion of a strategic feeder pattern, collective impact. We're calling that Imagine 2020. The notion also was that we have to work in reinforcing ways. We're lucky in Dallas ISD. We have a lot of partners all over the city, and they have been very generous in their commitments and their funding of various programs and pieces of the puzzle that fit together to educate children. But a lot of times that effort and those resources have been diffuse, and they're spread out across the entire district instead of focused and concentrated so that we work in reinforcing ways rather than diffuse ways. So again, this notion of strategic feeder pattern, Imagine 2020, where we choose 2 feeder patterns to start. Pinkston, and then Lincoln and Madison really have several schools that feed into both high schools, like Billy Dade feeds into both Lincoln and Madison. So Lincoln and Madison feeder patterns over here, and then Pinkston. If we focus our efforts and work in reinforcing ways with our community partners, we think we'll have a comprehensive, strategic way of supporting our students. And so for the first time we're going to work on this notion of reinforcing and collective impact, and and we're starting those feeder patterns. This means considerable amount of resources to those areas, but really we're looking at 3 areas, and that'll be explained today. Number 1, we're looking at staff and beefing up the staff, meaning adding assistant principals if we need them, department chairs if we need them, those sorts of resources, human capital resources. Second, we're looking at the curriculum, what needs to be changed with regard to more tutoring, after-school tutoring, in-school tutoring, the curriculum piece. And then the third piece is the volunteer and partnerships that we have to create, the volunteer programs and partnerships we have to create in order to have this impact in a collective way. That means a lot of resources. I'll give you, the board is going to be looking at this and looking at the budget for it, but it means over $8 million of the district's money applied to these feeder patterns, over and above what we have spent before, that we spend normally, I mean. And then also millions of dollars, somewhere in the order, over $20 million from our partners. Much of it already being applied to Pinkston, Lincoln, and Madison, but much more that will apply over the course of the next year. That's probably already too much detail, but I just wanted to give you a feel for the amount of resources that's going to be going into these areas and the broad-based concept. So thanks for being here, and I hope you have a lot of good questions. This is going to be a work in progress, so we're not done. We don't have all the I's dotted and T's crossed, and that's okay. But with your questions and input, we'll get those I's dotted and T's crossed over the next few months.
Thank you, Superintendent. We appreciate that. I want to give you a quick run of show to give you an idea of how the rest of this hour will fold out. We will have a presentation from our Division 5 Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Josie Hernandez Gutierrez, and Division 3 Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Aurora Laura. They will be followed by a presentation by our Chief of Human Capital Management, Charles Glover, and his Executive Director, Carmen Darville. We will open up the floor for questions after they complete both of the presentations. We will also open up the phone lines and take calls online as well. And I want to encourage you while you're sitting out there or listening to the presentation to go ahead and jot down some questions as they come up, so that we can quickly get to those when we do open the phones for calls and open the floor for calls as well. Now, those of you who are watching on Channel 98, that number that you're going to be calling, it should be on the bottom of your screen. From time to time, it will be 972-925-3123, okay? Now, before we go into the actual presentations, I want you to just go with me for a minute as we look at a very brief video. It's about 3 minutes, but it gives us an idea, kind of sets the stage for why this initiative is so crucial. While we are rolling this initiative out to staff at this time, we will launch this initiative with our students on April the 27th from 11 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon at SMU. It is going to be a fun-filled time. I think that everyone will find something that is just going to just really excite them and really give them a good taste of getting ready to be part of something that is so super and so much needed. So we will get a chance to have that roll out then. After the video, we will go straight to our presentations. We will hear from Josie Gutierrez and also Aurora Laura. They will be followed immediately by Charles Glover and Carmen Darville. But right now, let's prepare to roll our video.
want to become a fashion designer. I want to have a business with fashion. I'm seeing myself in college and getting there.
Well, I want to become a mechanical engineer. Well, I have to get good grades here in my middle school and go to Texas Tech. They have a good engineering program there. And, I want to graduate with a master's degree.
My dream is to be an astronomer or planetary scientist. It was mainly because, whenever I was 3 and until about the 4th grade, I would always ask my dad questions that were completely and totally impossible. One time whenever I was 5, I think, I asked him, if fire needs oxygen to survive, how can the sun be in space where there's no oxygen if the sun's a big ball of fire? I really plan to make it into the Rice astronomy unit. They have a planetary science and astronomy astrophysics unit.
Some dreams that I want to be either in the music or movie or TV show industry. During the summer, I've done it 2 years. It's basically an acting and dance camp. And then at the end of the camp, we have a big play with everyone in it. And then everybody gets invited to come watch us.
My dream of the future is to become an epidemiologist. And an epidemiologist is an infectious disease specialist. As I grew up in younger days, my grandma, she had lymphedema in her legs. When my grandma used to get therapy, I got to help them. So I got to see some of the hands-on jobs that they do. So it just started me off. And now that I did that, I actually have a mentor who is an epidemiologist because an elderly woman, she knew a person that was an epidemiologist. So she gave me the phone call, and now I have a mentor.
I'm ready to make my dream tomorrow's reality.
Ask me where I'm going.
I'm going to change the world.
Join me.
I'm ready.
Good afternoon again. I'm Josie Gutierrez, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent over Division 5, and it is my pleasure to share with you information about Imagine 2020. What is Imagine 2020? It is Destination's 2020 Strategic Feeder Pattern Initiative, and let us tell you more. Imagine 2020 schools will impact over 13,000 students and 21 schools. As Mr. Miles mentioned earlier, it's going to include Lincoln High School in Madison, Billy Earl Dade Middle School, and all of the feeder elementary schools that feed into Billy Earl Dade. It will also include L.G. Pinkston High School, the Dallas Environmental Science Academy, Thomas Edison Middle School, Quintanilla Middle School, and all of the elementary schools that feed into those schools. A little bit more about what is Imagine 2020. What are some of the overarching themes? This is bold and innovative plans to improve our teaching and learning in our schools. It's a way to individualize and personalize our students' education systems to address their unique needs and their interests. What will Imagine 2020 do? We plan to decrease the achievement gaps with Imagination 2020 through personalized strategies, tools, and supports for our students and also for our teachers. We plan to raise awareness of college and career readiness by accelerating instruction for our students with more rigorous curriculum so that our students not only go to college, but they stay in college and find themselves successful in completing their college years. And last but not least, we hope that Imagine 2020 will improve teaching effectiveness and we will do this by enhancing our professional development systems and providing more professional development for our educators. What do these opportunities mean for Dallas ISD? This means that we're going to pilot innovative reforms in Destination 2020. It also means, as I mentioned previously, that we're going to enhance the quality of our teaching, and we're going to have the opportunity to use more state-of-the-art technology in our classrooms to enhance teaching and learning. I'm going to turn over to Mrs. Carmen Darville.
Good afternoon. My name is Carmen Darville, and I'm one of the executive directors in Human Capital Management. I will speak to you briefly about opportunities for teachers, and I will go more in depth later in the presentation. Opportunities for teachers as part of the Imagine 2020 program include having a national spotlight on teaching excellence, participating in shaping the future of Dallas ISD students and campuses, and setting a tone for the rest of Dallas ISD. You will have access to the latest training and resources, pioneering new leadership opportunities within the teaching profession. You'll have data systems to utilize to enhance coaching opportunities and improving teaching and learning. And there will also be incentive pay opportunities, which include $1,000 for teachers, $1,500 for team leaders, and $2,000 for department leaders. And Ms. Aurora Laura will talk to you about opportunities for students.
Hello, I'm Aurora Laura, Assistant Soup for Division 3, which oversees the Pinkston feeder pattern, and I'm talking to you today about opportunities for students. First of all, students in the strategic feeder pattern will benefit from a college and career readiness trajectory. They will also get access to rigorous academic curriculum that's going to focus also on social and emotional well-being, and they'll be able to access lots of opportunities and experiences that you'll be able to learn about later in this presentation. Now I'm turning it back to Josie.
The strategic feeder pattern has several initiatives. I'll start briefly by telling you about school staff. We plan to increase school staff in each of these schools to better provide support for our students and our teaching staff. We will have staff that will either commit or recommit to these schools, and we will also promote teacher leadership. We'll also have an initiative for effective instruction. As mentioned previously, this will be targeted and extensive professional development that will be unique to the strategic feeder pattern schools. In regards to curriculum, we're going to enhance the technology at each of these schools, increase learning time, and make learning more individualized, and include a laser-like focus on college and career readiness. In addition, the collective impact that we plan to make for our students will include expanding some of the community partnerships that are already in place and increasing by having more community partnerships through more prioritization to meet the needs of our students. In addition, we will continue enhancing how we work with our parents, and we will also include a student advocacy management system, which will focus on better supporting teachers as they work with smaller groups of students. And when teachers need more support to meet the needs of our students, we will escalate that support to a student advocacy management, which will meet daily and be proactive to provide better wraparound services for our students and to better meet their needs.
Okay, I get to talk about some of the exciting things we'll see with school staff and effective instruction. So a couple of things we're going to see. One is we're going to see some new teacher leadership model positions, and Carmen's going to tell you more about that in a few slides. But basically, these are positions where teachers can teach part-time and have extra periods off where they can work on coaching and teaching model lessons and collaboration work with other teachers. So some exciting teacher leadership opportunities are on the way. We are also going to have increased administrative capacity. We're actually adding 30 brand new assistant principal positions to these schools. So almost every school is going to see an additional assistant principal on their campus, just so we can provide more administrative support to the whole team and the staff. We will see some innovative recruiting, selection, and retention models, which HCM can tell us more about in a few minutes. increased support staff positions. And what that means is we're going to be adding more student support counselors, career readiness counselors, truancy and dropout counselors, and urban specialists to our campuses. And this is going to give schools a whole lot more support to help make sure kids are not slipping through the cracks. We'll also be providing extensive professional development to staffs and administrators, and we're also going to be offering breakfast in the classroom at all campuses.
So with regard to the teacher leadership model that was previously mentioned, there will be content-based teacher teams, as most campuses have already. The difference is we have additional teacher allocations on each of these campuses to serve the needs differently than it's been done in the past. So in the teacher leadership model at the secondary grade levels, there will be 4 department chairs at each school who will work 226 days, and during the academic calendar, they will have half of their day in coaching other teachers on campus, etc. And there will be a grade level team leader at each school who will have an additional off period. So instead of your traditional 1 prep, you will have 2, also dedicated to coaching and facilitating across your campus. At the elementary level, an additional allocation will be allotted so that another teacher has the opportunity to support other teachers on campus as well. It will look slightly differently than how it looks at the secondary level.
Professional development. Okay, professional development. I'm here to describe some of the opportunities that will be available to teachers. So we will be doing a lot of training around this new teacher leadership model because it's going to be new to all campuses, and we want to make sure everyone knows how to use it effectively. You'll also get training on the new teacher evaluation system, digital learning, which is going to be implemented in all your schools, student advocacy, which is how we're going to assign small groups of students to lots of different adults in the school to make sure that they've got an adult that they're checking in with regularly so that they're monitored. Student learning plans, capstone projects, career readiness. And then something exciting that we're going to be doing in these schools is something called grand rounds. And that's where these teacher leader positions are going to work with other teachers in their school to take them to visit different classrooms to look for certain elements so that we can all norm and learn from each other. And so it's going to be something exciting that we're going to be rolling out, and then the teacher leaders will take the lead on. But this is something that you can look forward to if you stay at your current school. We'll also look in depth at student achievement data. Some of the other key actions around curriculum is we're going to see more in-school tutoring. There's going to be 1 period set aside each day for kids who might be struggling. So math, at the secondary schools, kids will get that tutoring in math, and at the elementary schools, students will get it in reading. We'll also have an extended day where there's going to be an extra hour of tutoring at the end of the day, or it could be enrichment opportunities that kids can stay for if they don't need tutoring. We'll also be creating a career readiness certificate program, and we're going to be exploring digital learning for all classrooms. So you may be wondering, what is my school day going to look like? You can see from the chart, you're going to have a regular school day, which has got the times in the middle of the chart, and then we're also going to be adding an extra hour to your day, and that'll either be an hour before school or an hour after school, depending on what your principal and school staff decide. It's not going to be both, so just know that up front. Some of the things that might be offered during that extra hour to students would be extra tutoring, extra help from teachers and things that they may be struggling on, credit recovery to high school kids who need to make up a course, and also enrichment opportunities for kids who don't need the extra tutoring but could certainly benefit from more enrichment. There will also be support and mentoring from community members that can happen during that extra hour. And then student advocacy management, this is what I briefly described. We're going to set up a model in all of the Imagine 2020 schools where every single student is assigned to an adult in that building. And so it's everyone from the teachers to the librarians to the counselors. They're going to have a small group of kids that they check in on just so we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of kids, and if they're having challenges, that we're helping to connect them to our community resources. and make sure that no one slips through the cracks. So we're going to be doing a lot of training on that and training on how it will work and we're going to roll it out just to make sure it's successful. We also are going to be working a lot with community partners. So in West Dallas, we'll be doing a lot of work with the school zone. And in South Dallas, we know there are other community organizations that want to work and partner with Lincoln and Madison. And so we're going to be exploring those partnerships and figuring out how we all work together to benefit our students.
So, as a Chapter 21 classroom teacher, you will have an option to be a part of this program, which is a really exciting opportunity to be part of a district-wide initiative to get all of our students on grade level. In order to demonstrate your interest in the program, you will go online through employee self-service, and we'll send this out in an email after so you have clear next steps. And you will click a button that says, I'm opting in to Imagine 2020. If you are not interested in participating in the program, that is your opportunity to share that information as well. You will have until April 15th at 5 p.m., which is a week from today, to log into Oracle Self-Service and opt into the program. If you do not log into Oracle Self-Service by April 15th by 5 p.m., you will become a part of the program. And so if you are seeking opportunities at another campus, the open transfer period started today, and there are already over 500 positions posted for next year, for the 13-14 school year. And you can initiate interest in one of those positions by going through our website and clicking on positions of interest and submitting your resume directly to the principal. All of this information we will send in a follow-up email, and this is just a reminder for the department chair positions where you have half of your day coaching other teachers, you will apply online to those positions. They will be open individually by next Monday, so you can apply for the department chair roles. The team leader positions the selection process for that will be handled at the campus level. So for candidates who are interested, who are in the district, currently working at one of these schools, you just want to go ahead and click that button to let us know, I'm excited about being a part of Imagine 2020. If you're not currently at an Imagine 2020 school, you can also initiate your interest in the program through the open transfer window by applying online. And for any candidates who are watching this evening who are outside of the district and interested, you may apply through the external application at Dallas ISD. We look forward to you being a part of this program.
I'd like to invite each and every one of you out to the Imagine 2020 kickoff event that will be held on April 27th from 11 to 2 at the SMU campus. The kickoff event is hosted by Urban U-Turn, and it's funded by the June Jones Foundation. It's a kickoff event that will provide giveaways for our students to attend summer camps, and the school with the top attendance will have the opportunity to receive a $15,000 makeover for one of the rooms on the campus. So I will see you there as we begin to make today's dream tomorrow's reality. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all of our presenters for sharing that wonderful information. It, again, is very exciting to see something like this come to the schools in these feeder patterns. We are looking forward to seeing the transformation that will take place. We are now going to open up the calls, the floor for questions and the phones for calls, as well as those who are online. You can now also send your calls in. Again, the number to call in for those who are watching on Channel 98 is 972-925-3123. And those of you who have questions via email, you can do that at imagine2020@dallasisd.org. Okay. I am going to introduce my colleague, Mari Carmen Aroles. She is the coordinator in our marketing division to help us kind of facilitate some of the questions. She has been kind of monitoring some of the calls. We sent out a blast email earlier today asking people to go ahead and send questions in that they might have about the program, about the initiative. So she's been monitoring some of those and kind of has an idea of what kinds of things people have been interested in.
A lot of the questions seem to be about the details on how this is going to work and how it's going to affect a few of the programs. And so I just wanted to give you some kind of how this is going to work. We're going to take, if you have any questions, folks here, if you can stand maybe just 2 people at the microphone so we don't have a long line, because we're going to be interspersing the questions from the audience with the ones that have come in. And we're going to start with a couple questions that have already come in by email or by call-in. One of them is, how does this affect teachers in the magnet programs or the magnet programs themselves?
So teachers who are currently in magnet programs at one of the Imagine 2020 schools, the same guidelines will really apply, and there are no changes subject to the magnet at this point in time. Any changes would be communicated separately.
Okay. Another call that we had that came was, how does an employee find out about the job descriptions for the urban specialist position, and how do you apply?
Sure. So employees who are interested in the urban specialist position, the job description is in the works currently, and it will be posted online as soon as it is available, which should be later this month.
How is this going to affect the special education programs at these schools?
Students who are currently receiving special education services will continue receiving the same services according to their IEP.
Another question was, what if I decide later that I don't want to be on an Imagine 2020 campus? What happens?
So again, you have a reminder that you have until April 15th, but the open transfer period runs from April 8th to April 30th of this month. And so you can exercise your rights to transfer to another campus as part of the open transfer period. After April 30th, all moves will be considered final for the 13-14 school year.
And you talked about technology, and that's going to be a big part of this campuses. And somebody called in with the question, in fact, somebody from the Dallas Environmental Science Academy, is there going to be a one-to-one technology consideration? And I imagine this is for students.
We are still working out the details of exactly what the technology is going to look like, so stay tuned, check back on our website. But whatever it is, there's going to be a lot of training that goes along with it. So as we flesh out those details, we'll make sure to stay in touch with teachers to let them know.
Now, we've kind of talked about some of the benefits for the campuses who are involved in this, but I don't think we can emphasize that enough. And so the question was, how will a campus benefit from being a part of the Imagine 2020 program? So let's let's tell them all the good things.
Some of the benefits of being a part of Imagine 2020 is the excitement of being a part of a new model with a national spotlight. It's always great to say that it's being done and that it's being done in Dallas ISD. It's also exciting for teachers to be a part of new career pathways and leadership opportunities. And it's also a way to shape the future for Dallas ISD. These schools will be a part of some innovative change that will be scaled up throughout Dallas ISD when we find exactly what works in our schools, and it will help us scale that up and increase the model elsewhere. Also, accessing the latest training and resources. As you heard, there will be some new technology. There will be professional development that will be offered to teachers at these schools that won't be offered at other schools. Pioneering the new leadership with the profession, and that's teacher leadership, that's campus leadership, and beyond. Also using the new data systems that will be introduced and providing extensive coaching to our teachers. And also you'll be a part of the beta test for the new pay for performance and the new teacher evaluation that will make headway in Dallas ISD. And that's an exciting thing to be a part of.
And I think we have some questions like with the special ed, some of the how this will affect programs. And this one is about the fine arts. How will they be enhanced? Will they stay the same? What are some of the changes?
On some level, the programs that are already in place will stay the same, but I will say with the new teacher leadership model, schools are getting additional FTE, which are teaching positions, in order to be able to give other teachers some periods off. So there might be some more things that they're able to bring to the table. The other thing is with the extended school day, there's going to be enrichment opportunities for kids to take. And so that could include some of the arts pieces that students might not have time to fit in their regular schedule during the school day, but offered now because we have an extra hour of instruction.
Okay, we've got a call from the floor, a question from the floor, rather, not a call. That would be a little different, wouldn't it?
Good afternoon. I have two questions. As far as the department chair positions are concerned, you stated that they would have to apply for them. Will the criteria be posted, and will the campuses be involved in selecting the personnel that will be placed on their staff? And the same question applies for the instructional coaches as well.
Yes, good question. So yes, you will apply online. The job description will be available starting next Monday for the department chair positions. The campus will be selecting the person who fills that role on their campus. So it will be a school leadership function to select the person for that role, as well as for the instructional coach position. Okay.
Another question was, will opting out hurt my chances of returning if I want to come back in the future?
So in terms of opting out, I'm guessing they mean coming back into the Imagine 2020 program at a later date?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a two-part question. That was my fault. I'm sorry. But the person had a question about if, because of the schedule and you know, family schedules, they have to opt out this year, but they're interested and they want to come back in the future. Will opting out hurt them in any way, or is that can they come back later?
So if an employee opts out for this school year, for the 13-14 school year at the launch of the program, but is interested in coming back at a later date once childcare is not an issue or whatever the concern may be, that will not be held against you. You will have the same opportunity to be a part of the program.
How are you going to find the time for teachers to check on students, for example, in the okay, now I can't read the handwriting. in special program, like advanced placement, for example, when they already have an extended day and are teaching as well, how are you going to manage the time? I guess if you can explain a little bit of how that extra period will work.
Each campus will have a student advocacy management system, and these systems will be shared with each of the campuses, and there will be some autonomy in how the schools implement each of these systems, and it is through these systems that we will be able to address individualized needs of our students.
This question is about professional development for teachers. When will teachers have the professional development? Will it be in the summer? Will it be a Saturday type classes or development? Do we have the answers to that yet?
On some level, teachers will. So some of the positions, meaning the department chairs, the teacher leaders, they are going to be coming back a little bit early in the summer to be able to prepare for the professional development. But for the most part, all the teachers will be coming back at the same time as the other teachers, and we are going to prepare some special training that week to explain the different pieces of the model that we're rolling out. There will also be other opportunities throughout the year, but we just want to be upfront that it's not going to take a big commitment of you this summer. You'll be starting back at the same time, and we will figure out how to make sure that we're weaving in the opportunities for you to get the training you need.
What about incentive pay? Will incentive pay apply to teachers who are not in the classroom? And how will the outcomes of the program be measured?
Okay, so for incentive pay, anyone in a teaching position will be eligible for the $1,000. And again, it's $1,500 for team leaders and $2,000 for department leaders. And was there a second part to that question as well?
It was, how will the outcomes of the program be measured?
So the outcomes of the program will be handled on the school leadership side in terms of assessment, et cetera. But they'll be subject to the same assessments that any other students would have district-wide.
Will the Imagine 2020 schools have additional instructional coaches, and will they receive a stipend? If so, how much?
All of the allocations will be rolled out to school leadership. They have the information. In terms of additional instructional coaches, it varies by campus how the FTEs were allocated, but all campuses have additional teaching positions and will have the team leader and department leader model.
Let's take a question from the floor.
Thank you. My question is, what will the parent engagement component look like at these schools?
Schools, again, will have some decision-making in how they're going to set up their parent engagement. However, as mentioned previously, parents will be a part of the student advocacy system, and of course, they'll continue to work alongside with the teachers, but we'll also have that student advocacy management system that will be put in place. But overall, the principals and the teacher leadership teams will have the decision-making in how they implement their parent engagement plan. But that will be a very important component of this work.
And this is kind of a related question. I know that we're having the event on the 27th at the Gerald J. Ford Stadium at SMU, and that will be a parent component. And but how and when will parents and students be notified of this? Are there other events? Are there assemblies that are planned?
There's a communications plan to implement and to inform the parents. They will be called. We'll use the call-out system. We're going to send out flyers. We're going to, of course, encourage our students to tell their parents to attend. So we will have a number of communication outreach methods for reaching out to our parents.
And those events will be going on throughout the month of April, so you can just stay tuned. We'll be contacting you about when we're coming out to your parent communities just to let them know and what those opportunities will look like.
Okay, we've got another question from the floor.
Yeah, we're just wondering how the time change will affect the transportation for the students, the time adjustments.
Sure. So all students who currently receive transportation services will continue receiving transportation services as part of the Imagine 2020 program. What
are the number of years that teachers need to commit to the program? Is there a set number?
There is not a set number for the program currently. You will still have the same contract, and that's looked at on a yearly basis. And with regard to the transportation question, there will be double routes for those schools.
What are the roles of the support staff in this initiative?
The roles of the support staff on these campuses remain unchanged. They will still work a 40-hour work week and fulfill the same responsibilities.
Now, how was it decided on which schools would be part of this initiative?
The superintendent looked at school data to make decisions about what would be the first 2 feeder patterns to roll this out, and I know a similar decision will be made about what schools will get this in the future.
And I guess there's still some questions about the opt-in, opt-out situation. If teachers opt out during this week, do they have a job secure for the next year?
So we will work with teachers to find another position elsewhere in the district if teachers choose to opt out. And we will do that not only during the open transfer period, but beyond the open transfer period. And just a reminder, you have to notify by the 15th at 5 p.m.
You got that, the 15th by 5 p.m. Okay, we've kind of touched on some of this, but we've got viewers that want to know a little bit more about what the extra hours will be used for. We've kind of touched on it some, but let's kind of reiterate some of that.
Okay, the extra hour of instruction will be used for tutoring for students who are below grade level or might need extra assistance. It could be used for credit recovery, and it could be used for enrichment opportunities, so that's where some of the arts and other pieces may come in. So there's a variety of different uses for it, and it's partly going to depend on the student population at that school and what the students need as we determine out how many sections of each type of opportunity will take place.
I have a multi-part question. Will elementary schools have the benefit of receiving additional special support staff as secondary schools will?
So as mentioned previously, elementary schools will have an additional allocation to assist with teaching and learning on their campuses.
And I guess these are all kind of for you, so I'll just... Will campuses need to consider the half-day schedule for campus coaches now for the master schedule? And will the elementary coach work 226 days?
Will the who work?
The campus coaches.
So we will work directly with school leadership, and any changes to the number of days worked will be captured in the job descriptions for any positions.
And will in-school tutoring be applicable at the elementary level? I guess that's not for you.
Yes, at the elementary level, it'll be centered around reading.
Are we planning to pay extra for the time that teachers will work, not the stipend?
At this point in time, the stipend addresses the incentive to work at an Imagine 2020 campus.
Will extracurricular activities change at any of these campuses?
No, the current standing extracurricular activities will not change. They will continue as is. However, we hope to have more extracurricular activities provided to these schools through the support of community partnerships.
What about students? Will they be able to opt out of this initiative?
No, students will be part of this initiative.
They'll always try something, won't they, those students? We've got a question also from the floor. Let's take that.
I see that the extra hour is mandatory for teachers. Is that extra hour also mandatory for students?
Yes.
Why are students missing school for the SMU event? They're not, though. It's a Saturday, so they will not be missing school for the SMU event.
And I believe we actually touched on this one as well. Who will do the hiring for these schools? You want to reiterate that?
Yes, the hiring will the hiring will be handled by the school leadership office, and for campus-based positions, it will be handled at the campus level.
And this is another staffing question. You mentioned that teachers would receive the stipend. Does this include counselors and librarians? And how will they support the initiative? And we touched already on the support staff, but if you can talk a little bit about the stipend situation for them, that'd be great.
All Chapter 21 employees will be eligible to receive the stipend.
I have some breaking news about students. With regards to the extra hour, the only students who will be required to attend that extra hour of the day are students who are in need of extra tutoring assistance, are below grade level, might need credit recovery. Other students will not be required to attend that extra hour, and that was a late breaking news that I'm excited to share with you.
And We may have also touched on this one, but what if I want to be part of Imagination 2020? Do I have to opt in?
Yes, we encourage you to opt in by going through Oracle Self-Service and clicking opt in. If you do not have an opportunity to do that before April 15th at 5 p.m., you will be opted in. And if you're outside of these campuses and you're interested in joining Imagine 2020, just a reminder, you can apply online to open positions for the 13-14 school year at these campuses.
And just a note, I guess more than a question, somebody who is eagerly wanting to opt in already went to Oracle Self-Service, but they had some little technical difficulties, so I'll make sure to give you this later, and so, you know, it'll be fixed.
And the other question is, if I don't want to remain at my campus, what happens?
If you are not interested in being part of this initiative, you will also go to Oracle Self-Service and go through the process of opting out. At the point that you opt out, by April 15th at 5 p.m., we will start working with individuals directly to seek positions at other campuses.
And this is kind of a specific question. Pearl C. Anderson will be moving to Dade, and so they want to know what the situation is there, if they can opt in, even though they're currently at that campus.
For Pearl C. Anderson employees, I will be working with you directly. You cannot opt into Pearl C. Anderson as the school will be closed for the 13-14 school year.
Will pay for performance be piloted in the Imagine 2020 schools?
So as you will see in your FAQs later, the new teacher evaluation system will go through some beta testing at Imagine 2020 campuses. And there is consideration that pay for performance could be piloted at these schools as well during the 14-15 school year.
And I guess we have another question from the floor.
Yeah, we're wondering how will the time changes affect extracurricular activities for the secondary level? So for example, if the buses have to leave at 4:30 for a game and the school is opted out at 4:45, how will that look?
So that'll be something that the principal will need to work with the school staff to figure out how the extra hour is going to impact your school day and how we'll make sure that kids can still get to their extracurricular activities. That might be a case where they add the extra hour before school so it doesn't mess with times after school. So, but expect more information from your principal about how that's going to work on your campus.
And will there be any changes in how student achievement is measured or assessed?
No, student achievement will continue to fall under the state accountability system and any other systems that we have here within Dallas ISD. There won't be any changes.
Is there differentiated compensation for personnel who work at an Imagination 2020 school?
Yes, so as I mentioned, for teachers, it would be a $1,000 stipend. For team leaders, $1,500, and for department leaders, $2,000.
And, are there open principal positions in Imagine 2020? I imagine this is assistant principal as well as principal. And will they be receiving a stipend? If so, how much?
For any leadership positions that become available at an Imagine 2020 campus, they will be posted on our website in the appropriate place, and you would have to apply online for those positions once they become available. Any additional stipends are not considered right now for leadership positions.
We have time for a few more questions. Will the $1,000 incentive pay for teachers be monthly or yearly? And what will the teacher's schedule look like? This is the Carmen Darville show.
The $1,000 is not monthly. It is on an annual basis.
I am a speech therapist on an Imagine 2020 campus. How does this affect my role on the campus?
The services that are offered by the speech therapist would continue to be offered on that particular campus.
How will elective teachers be considered for the extra $1,000 compensation. If they are not allowed to take part in the compensation, do they have to work that extra hour?
There is not an additional step for those teachers to be eligible for the stipend. It's all Chapter 21 contract teachers.
And I guess this will be, since we're a few minutes from the end of this, we'll ask one more question. If there's anybody in the audience who has a question, please go to a microphone now. Since Pinkston feeder pattern campuses, the elementary, are the focus, will the selection process for the Dallas Environmental Science Academy as a magnet school be changed for the 2014-2015 school year?
No, it will not be.
That was short and sweet. Okay, that's going to be our last question. We want to thank all of you for participating, all of the questions that we received, all of you watching on Channel 98, those of you watching online. Thank you for participating in today's program. I want you to know that this program will be re-aired, or you can see it in its entirety online as well, and you can also still send questions in. If you watch that again and you still have additional questions, you can send those questions in to imagine2020@dallasisd.org. And also, if you have colleagues who you know that might want to get a chance to see this, so do let them know that again will be online for their viewing. And again, you can still get questions answered by going to that email address. And is it Imagine?
We will post the answers on the FAQ that will be available on that page. So.
Okay. All right. So that's going to be the end of our program. We'd like to thank all of you for joining and for participating. Thank you to our presenters who did a fine job explaining this exciting initiative. I can't wait till we have the launch on the 27th to just see what the students have to say and to see their reaction, and absolutely to see the actual initiative roll out next year. I want to take my few 15 minutes of fame I have to just absolutely thank all of you teachers, all of you principals, all of our school staff for just being in the trenches. Your job is just incredible, and we are so appreciative of all the good work that you do. It is not taken for granted. We do know and we see the hard work, and our students are the better for the hard work that you put in. So we appreciate you and we thank you. Thank you all for joining us.